Oh, here we go. It just popped up. Ha! What a country. Goody, goody. So, anyhow, folks, welcome to episode, I think we're on like 34 or 35 of Elk Talk Live. And I was worried that we didn't have the technology lined up today, maybe because it's 10 below zero in Montana or something, but we're up and running. So, last week we covered a lot of Utah because that deadline for elk tags is March 1st. And the week before that, we covered Arizona because that deadline was February 13th. And the week before that, a couple weeks before that, we covered Wyoming because that deadline was January 31st. And if you applied in Wyoming tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock Mountain Time, when their server crashes because everybody's trying to find out their draw results, come back in about an hour after the server's back up and you can find out your Wyoming draw results. So anyhow, this is going to be fun. Montana is the most complicated of all the western states. And I say that as a resident of Montana. I don't know why they want to make it so complicated for you non-residents, but they do. So we're going to jump into that. We're going to kind of cherry pick the questions that relate to Montana when we do this, because remember, the whole idea of what we've been working on here is that you get to go and hunt elk every year. And the thing to go elk hunting in the fall that you got to be doing in the spring and in the winter is applying for tags. So right now we're going through all this applying of tags and applying for tags in these limited entry draws. And when we get all those results, somewhere probably May, June, we're going to start talking about, all right, here's how you can still go elk hunting with over-the-counter tags, with leftover tags, whatever. And we're going to jump into all the information of how to plan your hunt from home, how to do your desk scouting, all that stuff. So, but before we get into all the real nitty-gritty details here, we want to thank Bowtech and Leupold and Onyx Maps. And yeah, Onyx, if you get their Hunt app, they're giving you 20% off for any app purchase by using promo code Randy. And then we've got Tight Spot Quivers, we got Ripcord Rests, Black Gold Sights. New with us is Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls. GoHunt.com. GoHunt.com is kind of like Onyx Maps. If you use their insider service and subscribe and you use promo code Randy, just for all of you watching, you're going to get $50 of free, just mad money, cash, in their gear shop. And it's really, really good stuff. So with all of that, think about Montana. The deadline is March 15th. You find out about Montana, I think sometime around April 15th. It takes them about a month to do the turnaround. So here's how complicated it is for you non-residents in Montana. There's really two parts to the Montana draw. The first part is where you have to be holding a general license. And in Montana, you can apply for what's called the elk deer combo, or the elk license, or the deer only license. So you got three options. I think the most expensive one that is an elk and deer license combined is $1,040. The elk only license is $800 and some, and the deer only is $600 and some. But they all come with a fishing license, upland bird, all that kind of stuff. So by March 15th, you have to apply to get your general license. And if you get your general license, then they say you can be in the limited entry drawing with all of us residents. So first thing you do is you're applying for your general elk license. If you get that, on the same application, at the same time you're applying for the general license, there's boxes you can check to say, if I draw my general license, I'd also like to apply for these limited entry permits. The beauty of Montana is most of the state is good with that general tag you'll be applying for. Most of the limited entry elk permits are in central Montana, eastern Montana, and southeast Montana. So if you draw the Montana tag, the general license in Montana, you're going to have most of the state that you get to hunt. The other beauty is you get to hunt for 6 weeks of archery season. And if you don't fill your tag then, if your schedule allows, you can come back for the 5 weeks of rifle season. Am I forgetting anything there, Marcus?
Sounded good.
All right.
Somebody had a question related to it.
Sure.
So if a Montana resident applies as a party with a non-resident, does that hurt your chances?
Yeah. So the question is, if a resident and non-resident apply in Montana, does it hurt your chances? Yes, it does, because in the limited entry draws, only 10% of the tags can go to non-residents. Residents can get anywhere from 0 to 100%. Non-residents are allotted anywhere from 0 to 10%. They're not guaranteed 10%, up to 10%. So if you're a resident, you might draw, but there might not be enough tags left with the 10% cap on non-residents, and your application would be thrown out. So if I was somebody who was had a non-resident in my family and I was a resident, I wouldn't apply together. So, Randy, do you pack in water if there is access to water? Would you not try to filter the tank water in Arizona? Interesting question. So, first of all, in the West, we got some weird vernacular. Tank. When I moved to the West and they said, oh, there's a tank, I'm looking for like a bathtub sort of looking thing. Really, a lot of these are just dirt ponds where somebody has pushed a big dike up in a little valley and it backs it up, and they call that a tank or a dirt tank or a water tank. If I was thirsting to death and I had the world's greatest bug-killing filtration system, I might drink out of that tank, that dirt tank, to save my life. Under no other circumstance would I do it. I would haul my water in if I had to before I'd drink out of those dirt tanks. Every animal that you see goes in there and does their business in those tanks. Nah, don't do it. So for me, yeah, I will pack water in there. This year when we hunted in Arizona for the rifle season, I had a tag in October. My buddy Wade and Clayton, his friend, they went in with Wade's llamas before we got there, and they hauled a bunch of water for us. So I would carry water before I drink out of one of those dirt tanks. Let's see. Randy, I love your day-by-day shows on YouTube. Will you ever show what it takes to put a week-long hunt into just one show? I don't know, Marcus. Marcus is the production guy. That's a question for him. Would we ever do that, or would that bore people?
It might be pretty boring.
Yeah, I'd probably be boring. So we're just going to do it, tell it how it happens, and thanks for watching, though. There's some of our most viewed things is our day-by-day stuff that you see on our YouTube channel. We get more views on those. And since we're talking about YouTube, Marcus, should we tell them that there is a job announcement?
Yeah, if you want to.
All right. Last Thursday, the day after our last episode of Elk Talk Live, we posted a job announcement out on the Randy Newberg Hunt Talk Facebook page. So if you want a job, if you want to live in Bozeman, Montana, sleep in a tent and eat crappy meals for 100 or so days a year, and film and edit crazy hunting footage, there's a job for you, full time. Marcus is saying, well, don't apply for that job. The guy's hard to work for. Just kidding. Maybe he's not kidding. What else do we have here? Oh, to gut or gutless method. I always do the gutless method. I haven't gutted an elk for forever. And so some of you might be watching saying, well, what do you mean gutless method? If you go out to our YouTube channel, we've got videos out there. One, the gutless method of how to do a white-tailed deer, because a lot of people don't live where there are elk. So you can practice this on a white-tailed deer. The other one is start to finish how to do the gutless method on an elk. And by that, we mean we're not going to take the guts out of the inside. We're going to quarter this thing up while it's just laying there. And we're going to end up with every bit of meat that you would get if you were to have gutted it. And we're not going to have nearly the mess. We're going to get it done quicker. One less step. So always the gutless method for us. Have we ever done the gutted method while you've been here, Marcus?
Yeah, one time.
On an elk?
Antelope.
Yeah, on antelope. Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, an antelope, you can almost pick that up like a 6-pack of pop and carry it out of there. So that doesn't count. Oh, here's a good question. Montana, they have preference points and bonus points for non-residents. What's the difference? Oh, Montana, why they do this? All right. So remember in our past discussions, we said preference points, he or she with the most points gets the tag. You have 10 preference points, I have 4, you're going to get the tag before I will. Bonus points are like raffle tickets. If you have 10 raffle tickets, i.e. bonus points, and I have 4, you have better chances than I do, but I still might be the one whose name gets pulled out of the hat. So here's how it works in Montana. I told you that you needed to get this general license, this general elk license, before you can get into the limited entry drawing. So Montana, for you non-residents, uses a preference point system for the general licenses, the deer elk combo, the elk license, and the deer license. That's on a preference point system. He or she with the most points is going to get that tag. And then once you clear that hurdle, then you come over here in the limited entry drawing. At the same time, it's conducted immediately after your non-resident license drawing. There's this drawing for limited entry permits. Well, this is on a bonus point system. So one of the things you got to worry about is on a preference point system, kind of your way to get in the door by getting a general license. And then once you get in the door or clear that hurdle, then you end up in a bonus point system. Today we filmed the YouTube video that explains Montana. We'll have it up by next Monday or Tuesday. Again, I'm sorry that Montana is this complicated for non-residents, but is what it is. So someone says, gutless method, even get the tenderloins? Oh yeah, watch our video. We'll show you how to get those tenderloins out in the gutless method. And if you really want to, you can go out to our VHX channel and you can download that gutless method onto your phone for, I don't know, something like $2 or something. And you'll have it there. When you're out in the field, you'll have it downloaded on your phone and you can scroll forward to that part. Oh, that's how you did that. So, yeah, I would never leave the tenderloins. If I couldn't get the tenderloins doing the gutless method, I wouldn't do the gutless method. So, all right. Non-resident elk drawing for Wyoming will be ready at 10 a.m. tomorrow. Hey, Mike, you were late. We already said that earlier. This is the fun time of year. You kind of get out and you get on your computer and it's like, oh, when's the drawing? When's the drawing? Kind of like Christmas. What is my favorite area to hunt in Arizona? Any place that'll give me a tag. There are no bad elk units that I know of in Arizona. Give me a tag, I'll go. Have you put in for the New Mexico hunts yet? Yes, I have. This year, because of my calendar, I have to apply for the first archery season, September 1st through the 14th, because after that, my calendar is... So, I don't know if I'll draw. Hard to say. If not, I'm lucky Montana. Those of you who are non-residents, there is one good thing about all the complexity of Montana. If you draw an elk tag here, the number of elk that we have is good. And in the archery season especially, the majority of those elk are going to be on public land because that's the higher ground. As the weather gets a little colder, maybe early snow, and hunting pressure comes as we get closer to rifle season in late October and November, those elk get pushed down to the lower ground, which a higher percentage of the lower ground is private. A higher percentage of the higher ground is public. So that's why I think Montana, our general archery elk tag is one of the best general archery elk tags I know of. What do you do when you see coyotes while on hunts? Peace, brother. We're too busy doing everything else. Unless we're on a specific episode where we're predator hunting, I just see you later. How do you keep your tags, applications, etc. organized? I'm a CPA. I'm like into spreadsheets and deadlines and details. So in my other life, that translates really good to being organized. And as far as reminders and stuff, I plug them into my calendar, but I get all that information from Go Hunt. The Go Hunt Insider gives these, they call them application strategy articles. They're super, super good. The very first thing I do when they post one of their articles, I go read it start to finish. And it's pages and pages and pages, but it's really, really good stuff. So that's a big part of what helps me. Let's see. With Point Creep hammering most states for someone who wants to start applying for elk draws with no points in any states, where do you recommend to start? So the first thing I do is look at what states don't require me to buy a license just to even be in the drawing. New Mexico, okay? We're going to cover New Mexico in more detail next week and the week after, but you have to, in New Mexico, you got to front all the money. You do have to buy a $65 refundable license. So you check the box that says, if I don't draw my elk tag, refund my $65 license. So there's no point system in New Mexico. So if you're just starting out, that's a great place to start out. Wyoming, you can buy a point every year and grow without having to buy a license. You just pay the point fee. If your budget allows it, Arizona is a great state. Even though you got to buy a non-resident license, you can build points. And in Arizona, once you get to 5 or 6 points, you're looking at really good odds of drawing one of those late rifle permits, which are really good hunts in Arizona. And there's tons of other stuff to do to get the benefit out of that license. You can apply for the deer, you can apply for the bighorn sheep and antelope. You can go hunt all the birds, over-the-counter deer, archery deer. So those are kind of the priorities of, if I'm new and starting out, those are the places I'd look at. Idaho does not have a point system, but unlike New Mexico, Idaho makes you buy the non-refundable, non-resident license, which I just bought mine. I think it's like $160. So it's costs money. All of it does. So when will we cover the Colorado drawing systems? We're going to get to that in March because the Colorado deadline, I think, is April 4th or something this year. So it'll be a little while. Why can't you get me to stream on YouTube anymore? Because YouTube and Facebook don't like each other, okay? This came up about a month ago where one says, if you're going to be on this one, you can't be on ours. So I wish we could be on both of them again. Have I ever hunted the Missouri River breaks where you really can get away from people like you can in the mountains? Which one do you think is a more certain chance at a shot at a bull? Oh, I've hunted the breaks a lot. And you can get away from people in the breaks. You just got to put on some miles and get into the tough part of the breaks. You'll see elk there. The elk are very visible in what we call the Missouri breaks of Montana. But they give away a lot of resident tags there. I'm talking archery. And because they give away a lot of resident archery tags, a lot of non-residents draw it and they get all excited and then they're like, man, there's quite a bit of hunting pressure here. There is. So it just comes with territory. Let's see. Randy, I have a 270 great whitetail round. Feel I need or want a 300 Win mag for my first elk hunt. What is reasonable maximum distance to sight in? Hey, if you got the permission and the budget to go buy another rifle, I tell people, rifles, you can't have too many of them. But with the 300 Win mag, yeah, a lot of people will sight in at 100 or 200. Some people will say, I want to be whatever high at 200. For me, I solve that. My Leupold scopes, the Gold Ring, the VX6, VX5, VX3i, they have what's called the CDS system. It's called custom dial system. You send them what your load is, and they will make these dials that you range it and say, oh, that's 320 yards. You spin your dial to 320 and you just hold dead on. There's none of this holdover stuff. So I would say 300 yards, you're going to be fine. Some people would say, no, for elk, you better be able, you want to have a sight in out to 400. Whatever works for you. It just with the CDS system, it makes it so easy. I just tell people, if you're gonna buy a scope, buy one of those VXs from Leupold and get a CDS system. For hunting ranges, you're not gonna find anything that works easier than that. So let's see, in Montana, will bull elk still be up at 9,500 feet in October and early November? It depends. It really depends. The bulls will be higher than the cows, but if you get a really, really early snow, really, really cold, it'll push them lower. They'll start moving from the summer range to the winter range, but say it's a 10,000 foot mountain and the winter range is down at 5, they might be somewhere down here at 7 or 7,500. It just depends on how much weather has pushed them closer to the winter range. So hard to really say for sure. Let's see. Randy, you ever hunt mountain lions? No, I've not hunted mountain lions. I've been on a bunch of chases. One of our camera guys, Tyler, has an amazing set of hounds, and he's the lion guy. But he catches them and lets them go. I've been on some chases with him, and it's really, really cool. And a lot of people say, well, why don't you do a lion episode? Well, to me, the lion hunting is all about the trainer and the dogs. I don't want to go and do an episode about me shooting a lion that Tyler and his dogs did all the work. I mean, to me, the story is about those dogs more than anything. So that's why I've not done it. What do you got, Marcus? Am I missing anything here?
There's one from Livestream that says, would you have any shame in taking a 4 or 5 point bull for your first bull elk?
Would I have any shame of taking a 4 or 5 point bull as my first bull elk? No, the first 4 elk I took were all 4x4 or 4x5s. Knock yourself out, man. If you see one like that and it's your first elk, well, Marcus, how many elk have you shot? 10? And Marcus saw a 4x5 in Wyoming this year. Man, he didn't hesitate. And if he wouldn't have shot it, I was going to shoot it. So, no, don't let anyone get you into this shame or what you should shoot or not shoot. Nah. Shoot whatever you want. They all taste great. So, let's see. What is the Leupold spotting scope that we see you using in all your videos? I have 2 of them. I have the 60 millimeter gold ring and I have the 80 millimeter gold ring. And you probably see the 60 millimeter more for our elk hunting because it's really compact. It's super lightweight. I know it's the lightest 60 millimeter spotting scope on the market. And if it's got the gold ring on it, you know it was made in Beaverton, Oregon, and it's going to have high quality glass. And I've been using it forever. Actually, I've been using it for so long. At the SHOT Show this year, the folks from Leupold were looking at some footage and they're, Randy, that spotting scope you have it's over 10 years old. Why don't you use one of the new ones? Because it still works great. So they forced me to grab a new one while I was there. Not because the old one was anything wrong with it, but I say that just to explain how durable they are. You see how we hunt. We beat the tar out of these things, and that 60 millimeter gold ring has kind of been my good luck charm. You have one of those, don't you, Marcus?
Yeah, it was my dad's before it was mine.
Yeah, Marcus says it was his dad's before it was his. So, let's see. Randy, I like your vest. What brand is it and where can I get one? This is a Sitka. I'm not sure what model number it is, but you can get it at Sitka or any retailer that carries Sitka. I love it. It's part of my uniform. My wife, she says that she wishes she had one. So, Randy, best opportunity for a spring bear hunt? Any of the northern Rocky states. Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, Oregon. Yeah, those states. Colorado doesn't have spring bear. Utah's limited entry on spring bear. I'd stick to Montana, Idaho, Wyoming. Oregon I know has spring bear. I don't know if Washington has spring bear. I think it does, but I don't know that for sure. I'd check into it. Randy, give me your old vest. Let's see. Boy, there are a ton of them here. Let's say, please talk about point creep in Colorado. I'm sitting on 12 or 13 points and I can't catch up to any of the primo units. Don, I got bad news for you. You're not going to catch any of the primo units. 2 years ago, with 19 points, I was in your shoes. I was 3 or 4 points behind those primo units up in the northwest corner of the state. Every year I was not gaining any ground, or I was losing ground sometime. Burn your points, go on a good hunt now, and just go to Colorado, build 3-4 points, and go every so often. It's unfortunate, but point creep is a reality. And Don knows what point creep is. I should explain to the audience what it is. So in states that are on preference point systems, you say, well, last year with 5 points, everybody drew. I've got 4 this year. So next year when I've got 5, I should draw. Well, a bunch of people quit buying points and they actually apply. So the next year it takes 6 points to draw the tag, and you're on 5. You're like, dang, I thought I was going to draw this year. Well, then you get thinking, well, next year I'll have 6, and that's what it took to draw the year before. Well, all right, you apply with 6, and then you find out it takes 7 points the next year. That's called point creep. And it's unfortunately very, very common with the high demand for elk tags in the West. What watch do you wear in elk country? Right here, this is a Sunto. I'm trying to remember if it's a Traverse. I think it's called a Traverse. Anyhow, they sent it to me. I've been using it now for 2 years and just beating the crap out of it. It's working great. So when they first sent it to me, I'm looking at it, I'm like, whoa, what is this thing? It just showed up in the mail. Today, a pair of portable, like really ultra lightweight waders showed up in the mail, Marcus. Like backpack waders that you just slip on for like crossing little creeks and stuff. If there's one good thing about what I do, I get a UPS delivery, it seems like every day. I try it, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If it works, you'll see it on the show. If it doesn't work, you aren't going to see us using it. So, hopefully Wyoming's price increase will hold off some of the point creep for the special draw. I don't know. We'll know by this time tomorrow for sure. Let's see. What's your safe, ethical shooting distance to shoot with a bow? All depends on conditions. Depends on what I read the animal's posture as. Are they tense? Are they on alert? Are they relaxed and feeding? Is it windy? Is it uphill, downhill? Is it late at night where if I don't make the perfect hit, man, I'm going to have a trailing thing? There is no quote unquote safe or ethical distance. To me, it's not a function of distance. It's a function of the conditions and the situation. So I know that might not be the answer some would want me to make kind of cut and dried, but that's really how I look at it. Do I know anything about applying to Pennsylvania for elk? Yeah, you go to the Pennsylvania website and apply. And sometime around June, I think it is, you get a notification that you didn't draw. Same with Kentucky. Those are great, amazing stories there. Conservation stories about elk, but I'm not lucky enough to draw. So, oh well. Oh, where do you get those gloves? Oh, you must be talking about the chopper mitts that I wear. There's all kinds of places. Type in chopper mitt, and you want the full leather ones with the rag wool liner. Anyone who grew up in a cold place like I did in northern Minnesota, you know that gloves are a waste of time and a waste of money in super cold weather. Now in marginally cold weather, say down into the 20s, gloves will work. But when we're getting serious cold, like 10 degrees, 0 degrees, 10, 15 below, mittens. Chopper mittens. Randy, how do you navigate checkerboard landscape? I have on X. Can I jump corner to corner? You better check it out in each state. Most states you cannot jump corner to corner. So I navigate it by staying along the boundaries and know that I'm not going to be able to hop from one corner to another because you're stepping over airspace. I mean, where that infinite little point intersects, if you go from this side to that side, so like this, you're crossing over their airspace. And most states will call that a trespass. So I don't even do it. So, do you find all of the magazine website unit breakdowns accurate in your experience? It depends. I subscribe to all of them. I've dropped a few of them in the past few years. For me, my number one source is Go Hunt. Their odds, and there's nobody who's went through the effort to get the raw odds that Go Hunt has. Not even close. And the amount of work they put into their strategy articles is super, super helpful. I subscribe to some of the magazine ones because I want to see what they're telling people. That gives me a feel for, okay, if they're sending all their people here, I don't want to apply there. So, but I would definitely say that Go Hunt is, well, I could use any of them, but I use that one because it works the best. Let's see. Randy, have you ever found any public land that is county owned that might not show up on state or federal public land maps? Not in the West, I haven't, but in the Midwest, there's quite a bit of county land. So Onyx will tell you who the landowner is. That's the beauty of the Onyx. If you get the app system, you'll have it on your desktop plus on your smartphone. No brainer. What is the story of this bull behind me? Let's see, this one. You'd have to ask Marcus. He shot it. Is there a story to that, Marcus? Next week we'll put Marcus here. He can tell the story of that bull, or I'll ask him about it, and we'll tell that story. Randy, have you ever hunted elk in Arkansas? I've not. I don't know if there are any non-resident tags in Arkansas. I think it's a really, really small number. I have never applied in Arkansas. So, you got anything more there, Marcus? There's so many of them that are scrolling past me. I can't get to them all.
Someone asked if you were shooting the Realm or the Realm X this year.
Oh, am I shooting the Realm or the Realm X? I have a Realm X right now. And did you get the Realm, Marcus?
Yep.
Yeah, I thought so. And so I want one of each. If anyone at Bowtech is listening, I want one of each. But right now I got the Realm X. And it's the cold time of year. It's tax season for me. So I'm not getting to shoot as much as I'd like. That's the unfortunate part about this time of year. My archery range is covered in about, I don't know, at least 2 feet of snow right now. Hey, Zach, they got a cheer going here. We want Marcus. We want Marcus. Is Marcus on Facebook? I don't know. You don't want me to tell him, do you, Marcus?
I am. I don't ever check it.
He says he's on Facebook, but he never checks it. Zach Green says, I want one of your old bows. You know, I got to figure out what to do with my old bows. I'm not sure what to do. Let's see. Anthony asked, do you think the state agencies should restrict tags immediately in units that just burn considerable acres, opening bulls up in all seasons, especially late rifles? You know, I don't think they should. There's nothing they can do about that. They got to do their management plans for the long term. You know, fires are part of the landscape. If they were to have to be reactive to every fire, I don't think that'd be a good use of their time and our license dollars. So, let's see. What is your Leupold scope cover on your VX5 HD? I bought a large, which is what they recommend, but it's way too small. I don't know what size mine is. It's the one that came with the scope, but it's a pretty snug fit. I mean, you want to have a snug fit if you're using it for your weatherproofing and your weather cover. I mean, you don't want something slopping and falling around. So I don't really know what size it is. Randy, is 6 feet 9 inches tall have any advantage in hunting? I don't know, Aaron. I'm only 6'2". I couldn't tell you. I guess maybe if it's thick brush, that you can see over it when others can't. I do know this. Tim Lesser from Leopold, I think, is 6'4", and he's nothing but legs, probably like someone who's 6'9". And trying to keep up with you long-legged guys in the mountains is tough. So I'd say that's a huge advantage for elk hunting. The longer your legs, the better the elk hunter you're probably going to be. Let's see. What else we got here? Oh, raffle your old bows for charity. Randy, how about how to use OnX maps as a YouTube video? Well, Robert, OnX has a bunch of instructional how to use each of their layers and platforms out on their website. If you go to onx.com, they've got all kinds of really helpful videos there. We've done series of videos with them about how to use the layers for desk scouting or e-scouting, how to use them for finding places to draw tags, how we use them to look for boundaries as a sanctuary, a public-private boundary as kind of a sanctuary. So our videos about OnX are usually about how to use the tool, how to apply it in the day-to-day, in the field, on the ground application. Their website has tons of really good technical stuff that'll walk you through every little detail way better than anything I could do. Carrie says, my husband says you just dissed my short 5-foot stature. I am sorry, Carrie, that was not my intention. I wasn't dissing 5-foot stature. I was just expressing that 6'9" stature has some advantages in the elk woods. How's that? Man, I could be a politician with an explanation like that. Randy, have you ever hunted the early rifle elk seasons that Montana has in the Bob Marshall Wilderness? Any tips? I've not. I'm usually so busy in September. So in Montana, we have 2 areas where they open the rifle elk season September 15th. Bob Marshall is one of them up in mostly northwest Montana. I've not hunted it though. Any thoughts on Unit 7 in Wyoming? I've never hunted it. I know a lot of people who do, and they say if you can solve the access riddle, it's good hunting. I've not tried it. But looking at the map, there definitely are some access challenges there. Randy, worst wild game meat you've had? I've never had any where the flavor wasn't good. I shot a mountain goat in 1995, and the texture was tougher than a boot. You'd chew it and chew it. It was like chewing on a rubber ball or something. The more you chew it, the bigger it got. You'd wake up the next morning and the corners of your jaw would be like, oh my goodness. But I can't say that I've ever had any wild game that tastes bad. You ever had any that taste bad, Marcus?
Not because of it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's something that I did wrong.
Yeah, I mean, usually if wild game tastes bad, it's operator error. That's been my experience. If I've done something wrong, I have found ways to mess it up. I had elk burgers or moose burgers just before I got here. I was telling Marcus that I'm voting that we go moose hunting every year based on those moose burgers I've been eating. Oh man. So let's see, any plans for a walleye trip this spring? Yes, my wife has informed me that our marriage is contingent upon 3 weeks walleye fishing in May or June. So, can you speak about antelope numbers in eastern Montana? Are the numbers rebounding or still struggling? Given the winter that we are having right now, I suspect antelope numbers are going to take a thumping. Most of Montana, right here where we're at in Bozeman, is 150% of normal snowpack. When we went and did that helicopter flight, it was what, 11 below here, Marcus, when we were doing the sheep transplant? Eastern Montana was in the 30 belows for a couple days. This time of year, that kind of brutal cold can really be tough on deer and really, really tough, even tougher on antelope. So I would say wait and see. The Montana antelope draw isn't until May 31st or June 1st is the deadline. Wait and see how this winter plays out. But right now, we're like on that fringe where our deer and antelope could really take it on the chin if we don't get a reprieve from winter. Stephen Ranella, are you going to get him on a hunt? Steve is a great guy. The Meat Eater folks do amazing stuff. The last time Steve and I planned to hunt together, we were going to go on a blacktail hunt in southeast Alaska, and Steve called me, I don't know, a week or two before we're heading out, and he had, what did he have that time? I think that was the time they all came down. He came down with Lyme's disease, so we had to cancel. And since then, we've been so busy, our calendars never line up, so I don't know if we'll ever get to it. It'd be great fun. Those meat eater guys are fun guys. Have a ton of fun when I get to visit with them at trade shows and stuff. And a couple of them live here in Bozeman. We meet up for coffee every once in a while. What else we got, Marcus? There's a lot of questions tonight.
Someone asked, how many grizzly encounters do you have a year?
How many grizzly encounters do I have a year? Less than one. Depends on what an encounter is. I mean, I see them. There's one year in spring bear hunting, I think I saw 5 or 6 of them that year, spring bear hunting, but I'd see them all at a distance. When I've been rifle elk hunting, I've seen them through the spotter. Twice while archery hunting, I've had encounters of less than 30 yards, but fortunately both times they spun and they went that way. And when I saw them going that way, I was quick to go this way. So I really don't worry about it that much. It's just part of the landscape, part of hunting where we hunt. And there's some really good elk hunting in grizzly country, and I want to go where there's really good elk hunting. So how do I choose the right elk call? I can't seem to find the right diaphragm call, and I was wondering your thoughts on hand calls. I went through that same problem for years. And I tried all kinds of them. And if you feel the roof of your mouth, some people have a flat roof to their mouth, which is Randy. Some people have a really steep crown in the roof of their mouth. If you have a flatter roof of your mouth, it's hard to get that seal of the air to make a diaphragm call do what you want it to do. The folks over at Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls, buglingbull.com, Rocky, he saw me and he's like, well, here's what you got to do. And he's like, he had this whole big wide array of calls. He's like, well, this one does this one does that. And he told me, if you have this type of mouth, this is the call you want. And in the last 2 years of having that call, kind of discovering that from Rocky, I'm like, oh man, world of difference. So I'm a big fan of the diaphragm calls from Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls. Randy, you should tell Sitka Gear to make a big and tall section for those 6'9" people. I'll pass that along to them. If you draw a cow tag in Utah, do you have to wait to apply again? I don't believe you do. I think that only applies to the limited entry bull tags, the waiting period of 5 years. Can you kill grouse with a shot shell round out of a .357 Magnum? Oh yeah. It's easy, no brainer. If you got something, I would just make sure that it's legal in the state that you're doing it. But yeah. All right, Marcus is chuckling over there. He must have a good one.
Someone asked, did you and the Gritty Bowman get a good workout in while you're in Arizona, or did you spike his protein shakes with Dairy Queen?
So Brian Call from the Gritty Bowman joined us down in Arizona when we were doing our archery coos hunt. And I did spike one of Brian's shakes with a Dairy Queen. I told him, look, if we're driving through Wickenburg, I never go through Wickenburg, Arizona without stopping at this Dairy Queen, and we did, and I bought Dairy Queen Blizzards for everybody. And Brian, it worked so good, Brian shot a quad Monday. When you see this footage, we're editing it out right now. You people you're gonna think we went to a zoo to find this crazy looking animal. In Arizona, they have these things, they call them quad Mondays. Locals call them quaddies. They look like part monkey, part raccoon, part Wolverine. And Brian got charged by one the first day, and then we went back and he arrowed one the next day. And Hank Shaw cooked it, and we ate it, and it was really good. When we were done, Marcus, what was left? Nothing but like some bones is all that was left of this quaddie. It was cool. Let's see. What is my favorite state to do over-the-counter for elk? I can't say Montana because I live here and it's over-the-counter for me, where it's not for everybody else. Colorado. just because there's tons and tons of elk in Colorado. Colorado has the largest elk population of any state in the union. And if you think about it, those elk are mostly in the western 2/3 of the state. So the elk densities in Colorado are really, really high. So those are probably the best over-the-counter hunts. Randy, what rangefinder would you recommend for elk hunting? I've always used the Leupold, it's the RX 1200. It's got TBR in it, which stands for True Ballistic Range. They just sent me a new 1600, the new one they came out with this year. I haven't even had a chance to use it. So I've had really, really good luck with their 1200. We did two rangefinder videos on our YouTube channel last year because I was out with Tim Lesser, the VP of Product Development at Leupold, and he was talking about some things that most people don't realize with rangefinders. And Leupold makes sure that when their stuff is built, it accommodates for these things. One is the color of your target. It's reflecting light. Dark targets absorb light, white targets reflect more light. So the strength of your pulse will be different based on your target. And some of the lower end rangefinders won't accommodate for that. The other is your rangefinder has a crosshairs, right? Has some sort of aiming device. Well, you think that it's aiming right, or that the laser that's coming out is hitting right where the crosshairs is. Not always. Sight in to make sure your rangefinder is properly aligned so that your crosshairs are properly aligned with your pulse, your laser pulse. So think about this. You got a deer out there at 200 yards, your pulse is off 3 degrees, your laser, and it ranges a rock 50 yards behind the deer. So you think that it's at 250 because that's where your laser hits it. It's really at 200. You shoot right over its back. We did 2 videos on that, how to accommodate for that. It's out on our YouTube channel. And it's even more amplified at archery ranges, archery hunting distances. So don't take for granted, especially if you're looking for one of the lower end rangefinders because you just want to save some money. Don't take for granted that it does exactly what you're hoping it would do. Test it before you go out in the field to make sure it's doing what it's supposed to do. Oh, plans on any turkey hunting this spring? Probably not for me. I'll be busy walleye fishing. Marcus, I think he'll be turkey hunting. You're like our resident turkey expert, aren't you, Marcus?
Oh, not at all.
He says no, not at all, but he shoots more turkeys than any of us. So, which, considering how few that I have shot, it doesn't take much to move up the expertise scale at our operation here. Let's see. Last week you said you hunted in Unit 21 in Colorado. Is it a good unit for elk and mule deer? Oh yeah, super unit for mule deer. But if you're a non-resident, it's going to take double-digit points to draw the deer tag. Elk, I've not hunted it for elk. When I had the deer tag, I saw plenty of elk. I could have shot an elk just about every day I was there, but I was so focused on deer, I didn't want to be distracted. So I didn't even buy an over-the-counter elk tag on that hunt. Brian asks, I shoot a 300 Win Mag thinking about a muzzle brake. How do I feel about them? I get a lot of grief over this. I hate muzzle brakes on hunting rifles. You know, I've got friends who have, some of the AR platform stuff, and they're a ton of fun to shoot, just poop, 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 and they've got brakes on those. And I think that's, great, whatever. But for hunting rifles, I hate brakes because you're in a situation, you've got your buddy next to you who's glassing and spotting for you, and brakes diffuse all of that noise and energy outward. And if you are anywhere, if you've ever been out to a range when someone shoots a braked rifle, you know it. And I know some people love brakes, and that's great if you do. This person asked my opinion. I don't like brakes. If I feel that I got to break a rifle, then I've probably got the wrong combination of cartridge and weight. I have a 300 Win Mag. I love it on my heavier rifle. If I put it on my Howe Alpine mountain rifle, that 300 Win Mag would knock my teeth out on that super lightweight platform. So instead I go to a 308, which is way more modest recoil, and I still have a 30 caliber bullet. So, have I ever been scoped by a rifle? I think I was in Nevada 2 years ago, but Leupold has like a rubber edge around the ring of the eyepiece, and so it just hit me, and it didn't cut me. I've seen people, they're definitely bleeding when they're done with that. All right, Craig Miller asks, does commercial video impact where you put in for hunts? Yes, i.e. wilderness issues, other issues, different hoops to jump through for state or federal public land. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize it, but if you are doing commercial video, I don't care if it's for a TV show like we do, for a YouTube channel that you're making money on, for DVDs, anything that you are doing to make money, advertising, whatever, you need a commercial filming permit on federal lands, BLM, Forest Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and some of the state lands, like the state of Arizona, their state lands, you need a film permit. So Craig asked the question, does that influence where I apply? It does, because it's really hard for us to get film permits in wilderness areas. We've been able to do it a few times, but sometimes you just can't. So the Frank Church River No Return Wilderness in central Idaho, I want to go there in the worst way. I've asked those forests over there, can I get a film permit? And they're like, no, we have a policy, no film permits in these wilderness areas. So you probably are never going to see me hunting in the Frank Church because I can't get a film permit for it. So anybody who's out there doing video needs to have a film permit on public land. And some of you, I know, as quick as I said wilderness areas, you said, well, I've seen these guys hunting in the thoroughfare area in Wyoming all the time. That's all wilderness area. How are they getting film permits? I don't know, because I've tried to get film permits there, and I've been told you aren't getting one. So if they've pulled it off, good for them, but I've not been able to do it. So that's a long answer to a question that really had nothing to do with elk hunting, but has to do with how we do what we film and what we show on YouTube and our Amazon channel. How are we doing on batteries, Marcus? We're just about dead? All right. So a couple things before we wrap up our last few questions. Remember, we have a deadline of March 1st for Utah, March 15th for Montana, and March 21st for New Mexico. And if you want to get notified about when we're going to go live here on Elk Talk Live, text Randy, R-A-N-D-Y, to the number 77453, and you'll get put on the list and you'll get notified every time we're going to do this. We try to keep it on Wednesday nights, but sometimes we have to change that. And if you're in the mode where you're going to be buying products for this hunting season, I hope that you'll consider the companies that make this possible. This whole Elk Talk Live thing was the brainchild of Bowtech. Tim out at Bowtech said, let's do this. Everyone's always asking him, Randy Newberg, this question, that question. Let's just throw it out there. We'll pay the cost if you'll sit and talk. So Bowtech and Leupold, they jumped in right away and said, we want to do that. And other companies are Tight Spot, Ripcord, Black Gold, Onyx Maps. Remember to use the Randy promo code to get 20% off. GoHunt.com, same thing for their insider service. Get $50 of free credit for using Randy as the promo code. And then Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls. Those companies are what make it so we can do this every Wednesday night. And my wife always says, man, you always seem so excited on Wednesdays. I'm like, yeah, because I get to sit here and just tell elk hunting stories and try my best to throw some advice out there that maybe somebody won't make the same stupid mistakes I made. Because I tell this in my seminars. I'm not a great elk hunter. I have the benefit of being able to go on 6 to 8 elk hunts a year in multiple states, which puts me in different conditions, different terrain, different vegetation, different times of the year. So we get to make a lot of mistakes that I get to learn from. That's the only reason that I have much to offer. And when I moved to Montana, My first 6 years of elk hunting, I didn't shoot a bull elk. And I want to help other people not struggle the way that I did. and if that's one little thing we can accomplish, that's something we hopefully can do. Tyler says, the batteries are dying and my wife is snoring. That must be a wrap. Oh, we got to have something better than that to close with, don't we, Marcus? Oh, Wayne wants to know, when do we get to hear the whole Mexican prison story? Marcus recorded that. I was telling the story in Arizona. Marcus recorded me telling the story. So you're going to have to ask him when he's going to put that up there on our YouTube channel. You got any really good last one that you think we should do? Let's see. Oh, here's one. Can you help me understand thermals better and how they typically work in the high Rockies? We did a YouTube video on that. I think we released it in late December. So if you go out to our YouTube channel, you're going to see it. And I was surprised the number of comments we got from people who said, man, I hear all you Westerners talk about this thermal stuff, but I never really understood it until this video. So hopefully that YouTube video, and to find it, go to our YouTube channel, Randy Newberg Hunter. And I think in our videos, if you just do in the search bar and say thermals, it'll probably come up right away. But it was, I think we published it sometime in late December of 17 or early January of 18. And for those of you who've been following us, you know that we got done with TV. Our 9 years of outdoor TV finished in December. Now we're on Amazon. So if you go to Amazon, if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you'll find us out there. Randy Newberg, or Fresh Tracks with Randy Newberg is what all of our channels are. We've got season 3, season 4, season 5 up there. And we've loaded up a bunch of stuff that we filmed just last fall. And we're waiting for YouTube to approve it, or Amazon to approve it. So once it gets approved by Amazon, you're going to be able to watch it out there on our Amazon channel, and hopefully you will. Randy, how old were you when you killed your first elk? Let's see, 33. So how old were you when you shot your first elk, Marcus? You aren't even 33 yet, and you've shot 10 of them. Gosh. I'm old. But that's what happens when you don't grow up in elk country. Marcus grew up in the core of Montana's elk country. So whenever I get stumped, hey, Marcus, what do you think I should do here? So he should be the guy running the show, but he's too bashful. We got anything more?
Not seeing anything.
All right, folks. I think we're going to call it a wrap because this guy's wife is snoring, the batteries are dying, and I got to get home. Thanks for watching.